Very good, Yana. Thanks so much. We're starting our webinar, which is dedicated to the tax issues in the Netherlands. It is a part of our cycle of regular webinars. We call it country by country webinars, where we analyze and investigate something new issues existing in those countries which are interested to our clients, our audience. We arranged it together with our Estonian office, my colleague Leonid Agiyev, who is the head of this office and one of co-moderator for this webinar. We broadcast it not only for Ukraine or Estonia, but for several other countries, Russian-speaking countries, except Russia and Belarus, like Latvia, Litva, Moldova, Caucasus, and the Middle Asia. If speaking of Ukrainian clients, where I provide respective tax advices, I insist that the Netherlands is exclusively good for making holding for Ukrainian business, which get the most of at least half of the revenues from the real property located in Ukraine. The sale of shares, real property rich shares by the Netherlands company enjoys the provisions of double tax treaty between Ukraine and the Netherlands, which can exempt it such capital gain from taxation. And to my best knowledge, it is the only double tax treaty which contains such good exemption. The rest are double tax treaties of Ukraine contain the general rule of the possibility of such taxation by Ukrainian laws. And therefore, we constantly highlight the interest for Netherlands concerning such business which take the revenues from real property in Ukraine. And if we go investigating this issue, so we should, and I believe my colleagues will share this information of the respective rules dedicated in the Netherlands, dedicated to the dividends incoming to the Netherlands, outbound dividends, and the regime of taxation, capital gain taxation in the Netherlands as such. To maybe as a matter of minor interest is the regime of IP box in the Netherlands. IT companies can enjoy certain exemptions, but they suffer from strict nexus rules comparing with some other countries as well. My colleagues will highlight this opportunity. Our speakers today are the partners of our office in the Netherlands. It is called Crow Federer. The speakers are respectively Sander van Hooft, excuse me, and Randall Hoffman. Sander is mainly concentrated on the corporate profit tax issue, and Randall, to my best knowledge, it is the value-added tax, extremely good specialist. But anyway, they will share the material as they would like to, what they feel appropriate. How they feel appropriate. As I have said, my colleague Leonid Agiyev is co-moderator and will respectively give certain messages from himself. And as usual, we are grateful for your questions regarding the materials which we will share right now. We have a chat where we can respectively put down the questions. You can, our audience, and Leonid and speakers, Sander and Randall, can revise it and respectively answering the questions after certain logical pause in the delivery of the speech. Maybe it is all my preliminary messages to you. Again, I'm very grateful for Sander and Randall for the opportunity to deliver their knowledge of the Netherlands, and for Leonid for the organization of this event. So Leonid, the chair is yours, the floor is yours. Could you proceed?
Yeah, thank you, Dmitry. Thank you so much. I would not speak for so long as you before, and will give the stage to our colleagues in the Netherlands, whom we know very well for many years already, being the part of Crow Global. All of us, as far as I know, Crow Federal now is one of the largest consulting companies in the Netherlands, who cover all possible consultancy, tax, accounting, and so on needs of the clients if necessary. So according to our experience. So let me now to give the chair to, I don't know whether Sander or Randall will take the initiative. You're welcome. I'm switching off the microphone for a while.
Yes. Thank you, Leonid, and thank you, Dmitry, and thank you for hosting this webinar, and for us the opportunity to bring the Dutch tax climate under your attention and on the attention of your clients and/or prospects. So, thank you for that. In 45 minutes, together with myself and my colleague Randall Hofman, we will explain a little bit more about Dutch economy, our fiscal climate, and some tax rules, which have already also been addressed by Dmitry, our famous holding jurisdiction, but also the IP box will be presented to you.
Randall, Sandra, I'm very sorry for interrupting you, and I will just repeat that the questions they could be asked in the webinar chat. I will also repeat it in Russian. Уважаемые господа, если у вас будут возникать вопросы, связанные с презентацией, пожалуйста, адресуйте их в чат. And as we agreed with the speakers, the answers will be given after the presentation, not the parallel. Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you. No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So the introduction has already been provided by Dmitry and Leonid. So again, warm welcome from from the Netherlands for this webinar. Next slide, please. The objective of this webinar is to guide you again through our business climate, our economic landscape, how you can set up potentially a corporate structure via the Netherlands, and what are the tax highlights and incentives, and of course how we as Crow Federal can assist you with that. Next slide, please. During this 5 minutes, we will discuss why we feel that the Netherlands is a very prime location to do your investments. So on the next slide, we will give you high-level summary, please next slide, about why the Netherlands. The Netherlands is typically a small country. Perhaps you know it. We only have 18 million people. We are a member of the European Union since 1958. We pay with the euro since 1999. And our principal language is Dutch, although I think 95% of the Dutch population also speak English. The biggest cities in the Netherlands are Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, Utrecht, and Eindhoven. All cities have their own unique selling points, as we say it. Amsterdam is the capital of the Netherlands. The Hague is our parliamentary capital. Rotterdam is the biggest harbor in Europe, and Eindhoven is very well known for its tech area. Next slide, please. Some of the Dutch giants that you perhaps know from companies where we as Dutch people are very proud of. And we are especially very proud of the recent development by Eli Lilly. A few months ago, they announced that they will start a facility in the Netherlands by making medicine in the Hague area. So we are very welcome to this foreign investment from the US, what we are very proud of. I think all the names sound familiar to you, but just wanted to bring them under your attention. Next slide, please. So if we are looking at why you should invest in the Netherlands, there are, I think 4 elements which are very important for our Dutch economy. We have a very stable environment. We have a big track record. We have a lot of talent, and we invest a lot of time in technology and in our education. And we are easy to deal with. So for foreign investors, it's very easy to do business in the Netherlands. As you have seen, we are a very small country in Europe, although we have big ambitions. And this big ambition, we need to have manpower and capacity and capital from our foreign investors. That's why we, as the Netherlands, would like to attract foreign investors to also bring our ambitions in a bigger picture. This is also the reason for this webinar, is to explain to you that it is easy to do business in the Netherlands, and we will try to explain that. On the next slide, next slide, please. Yes. In the next slide, this slide is, why is the Netherlands such an ideal location for foreign investors? First of all, we have a very favorable corporate income tax regime. We have a special rate for IP, which I will explain later on. We are very competitive. We have high educated workforce. As I already explained, we are Dutch people, but I think 95% of the population speaks English. We are very well connected via internet. I think it's the #1 on the global scale. And we are, as you see, #2 in the Digital Competitiveness Index. Next to that, our healthcare is very good. Our work-life balance is also very good. Our way of life is also nice. We have a lot of culture in Amsterdam. If you like soccer, we have 2 big clubs, 3 big clubs in the Netherlands: Ajax, PSV, and Feyenoord, which do very well in Europe as well. And our national team will go to the World Cup, so hopefully they will do a good job as well. And especially, we are very proud of our digital economy. So that's one of the most attractive elements of our economy. Next slide, please. So next slide, please. Looking at the economic landscape, some high-level numbers. Almost every year we grow with 1.6%. We have a very low unemployment rate. Our inflation is really low, and we try to grow as fast as possible. Next slide, please. We wanted to talk during this webinar about our inbound practice, but also the Netherlands, for our outbound practice, invests in various Ukrainian companies or Eastern European companies. So not only our inbound practice is important, but also our outbound practice. So for our Dutch clients who would like to invest abroad. And in essence, we would like to have similar tax incentives for our national companies, but also for our foreign investors. So there is a level playing field between foreign investors and domestic investors. Next slide, please. Looking at the Netherlands and on a global scale and geographically, we have a very strategic location in Western Europe. As you see on this slide, almost within 1,000 kilometers, you can reach almost 250 million of your potential customers. Within 500 kilometers, you already have 170 million of your customers. So the Netherlands is a prime location as a hub to invest in Europe. Perhaps you know.
And if you would look at it from a logistics perspective, we are always mentioned the gateway to Europe. So with the port of Rotterdam and with Schiphol as a way of importing your goods into the Netherlands, the goods will find its way all through Europe. So to the Nordics, to Germany, to Belgium and France, etc. So the Netherlands is actually the gateway to Europe from a logistics perspective. We have a lot of clients dealing with those logistics, and we help them with all support that they need, setting up the supply chain, and of course also doing the tax aspects of importing through the Netherlands.
Thanks, Noel. Next slide, please. So what Dimitri already mentioned is that the Netherlands as a holding jurisdiction, hosting a lot of and having a lot of multinational headquarters is very important for the Netherlands. Later on I will discuss why we have a lot of multinational headquarters, and it's basically because of our favorable tax regime. But we almost host 2,000 multinational headquarters in the Netherlands. We also have very significant operations. The one that I just mentioned, where we're very proud of, Eli Lilly, is starting a facility in the Hague area. And again, what Randall also mentioned, a strategic location, which is a hub for the rest of Europe, or the rest of, let's say, the world, which has a lot of appeal to international clients. Next slide, please. So when setting up an entity in the Netherlands, what are the structures that we commonly see? Next slide, please. Typical investment structures. If you're a foreign investor and you want to set up a corporate structure in the Netherlands, it's the easiest way is to set up a private limited company, a BV, or a public limited company if you are a listed company. We also have our associations and foundations. If you want to have more information about that, I can provide you with that. But in general, when setting up a corporate entity, normally we see a BV. If you want to have a smaller footprint in the Netherlands, then we also see clients of foreign companies setting up a Dutch branch. Later on, I will discuss the difference between setting up a BV or a branch, but in principle, both are liable to corporate income tax. If you want to set up a company for yourself as an entrepreneur, you can also do it, but we don't see it that much in international business. Next slide, please. Company setup. When you set up a company in the Netherlands, it's pretty straightforward. It can be done in 1 week. We've provided you with a list of the things that needs to be done. It's a process. First of all, you need to form a name of the company. You should have a business address. You should prepare articles of association. And after the setup by the notary, normally it's a third-party notary, the notary will register the company with the Chamber of Commerce. And later on, the company, if registered with the Chamber of Commerce, it will also register you with the Dutch tax authorities. And when entering the Netherlands, you will get blue letters from the Dutch tax authorities with your registration number and the formalities which you need to oblige when setting up your company in the Netherlands. That's mentioned on the next slide. Companies in the Netherlands, so next slide please. Companies in the Netherlands, they are obliged to prepare annual accounts and to file them with the Chamber of Commerce. They also need to file an annual corporate income tax return, also quarterly VAT returns, although you can decide to file a VAT return on a monthly basis, monthly and the monthly payroll. So it's annual accounts, corporate income tax, VAT return, and payroll. We can also assist with getting a Dutch bank account. On the right side of this slide, you will see the major three Dutch banks, ING, Rabobank, and ABN AMRO. They are also very easy to deal with, although I must say that you should have proper documentation because the KYC documentation for opening a bank account are very strict in the Netherlands. Next slide, please. So now we want to zoom in a little bit about our highlights of our tax regime and the potential incentives that you as a foreign investor can make use of. Next slide, please. We will discuss some of the corporate tax, transfer pricing, indirect tax, and individual taxes. Next slide, please. On this slide, we've prepared the corporate income tax and withholding tax topics that are very important when setting up your BV in the Netherlands, either via holding or an operational company. As I already mentioned in the introduction, we have very competitive corporate income tax rates, 90% for profits that do not exceed 200,000 euros. Everything above is taxed at 25.8. As Dimitri also explained, we have a very favorable exemption. It's called the participation exemption. When I was at university, one of my professors said, not in the Netherlands, in the Netherlands, the Netherlands is known, very famous for its windmills, its wooden shoes, and its tulips. But add to that the participation exemption. I can assure you this is a unique tax incentive on a worldwide scale. Any dividends and capital gains received from foreign companies by a Dutch BV are in principle tax exempt in the Netherlands. So for instance, the Dutch BV as a holding company holds a Ukrainian subsidiary. The Ukrainian subsidiary pays a dividend to the Netherlands. This dividend is tax exempt, so it's not taxed in the Netherlands. When the Dutch BV receives the dividends and want to distribute that to its investors, you see that we, in principle, if the corporate structure is arranged properly, we don't have withholding tax on dividend distributions outbound to the foreign investors. We also do not have withholding tax on royalty and interest. So in principle, when the example that I used, we have a Ukrainian subsidiary, 100% held by a Dutch BV. The shares of the Dutch BV are held by foreign investors. The dividend from the Ukrainian company can be distributed without any tax leakage from Ukraine to its foreign investors. Subsequently, you can get a ruling from the Dutch tax authorities, which basically means that you have an agreement with our Dutch tax authorities about the certainty of a tax position and on the standpoint that you take on any tax positions. So for example, you can get a ruling from the Dutch tax authority by saying, yes, I agree, the participation exemption applies to the Dutch BV. Yes, I agree, there is no withholding tax on dividend distributions. This is, for our international clients, a very big plus, because they have upfront, when they set up the structure, they have certainty. And as you perhaps know, certainty in international business is very nice, very good to have, because you know what the future will look like. Next slide is about our innovation facilities. We, as the Netherlands, support research and development very much for foreign investors and also for domestic investors. What Dimitri also explained in its introduction is that you should have local nexus. So the innovation, the research and development activities should be performed in the Netherlands. We have two major facilities. We call it the R&D tax credit and the innovation box. First one is the R&D tax credit. It's a wage tax reduction on any R&D wage cost that you have and any other costs regarding R&D, which can be reduced with your wage tax obligations to the Dutch tax authorities. You will get, if you have this R&D credit, you will get a declaration from the Dutch tax authorities, and this declaration is also your entry ticket to the innovation box. Any profit related to your R&D activity may be taxed, not at, as I said before in the previous slide, under basic corporate income tax rate, but no, at a lower tax rate, namely 9%. So this may reduce your effective tax rate substantially. Also, for the R&D credit and innovation box, you can get a tax ruling from the Dutch tax authorities by stating that they agree that you can apply for this innovation box, and also agree on how much profit is allocated to the innovation box. So these are very important facilities in the Dutch tax rules. Next slide is about the VAT regime. So Randall, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Sander. The Netherlands is, of course, part of the EU region, and the EU region has adopted the VAT directive, which means that in every country in the EU, a local implementation of value-added tax, VAT, is in the law. So that means that although each country has its own VAT law, which is derived from the VAT directive, the countries have their own set of administrative rules. That means that although the rules are quite similar in all EU countries, each country may still have its own set of rules that you have to be aware of. The Netherlands is quite strict in its VAT regime, but it's, as Sander said, easy to deal with the tax authorities, easy to obtain a VAT number, and easy to import and transfer your goods through the Netherlands. The standard rate in the Netherlands is 21%, and the lower rate, mostly on food and beverages, is 9%. In general, because I'm not sure if everybody understands VAT, but in general, if you are a business, the VAT should not be a cost. It's just a wash through your company. You should mention the VAT on your invoice, and that VAT has to be paid to the Dutch tax authorities. And if you provide your services to a company, that company can reclaim that same amount of VAT again. The same is applicable to you as a company. You can reclaim the VAT on cost that you incur if you provide VAT taxable activities. And almost all services and goods in the Netherlands are VAT taxable. So VAT should in principle not be a cost. We also have customs in the Netherlands. So if you import goods into the Netherlands, you will pay a customs amount, and upon importation, you will also pay the 21% VAT. Although, if you have a proper structure in the Netherlands, and if everything is properly set up, you can obtain a license in the Netherlands to not pay the VAT at import, so not pay the 21% at import, but pay the VAT only in your first periodical VAT return after importation. In that same VAT return, you can reclaim that same amount of VAT again. So that means that the VAT on import will be a wash. So you do not have to actually pay the VAT on importation. That's a regime that the Netherlands is quite famous for. Of course, we are one of the other countries in the EU region that imports the most. So we're quite happy with that regime. Of course, you have to fulfill some basic rules to apply for that license, that import VAT license. We also have a lot of rules for smaller enterprises. So some smaller enterprises do not have to register for VAT purposes. They do not have the administrative burden. But in most cases, if you import or structure your business through the Netherlands, those smaller company regimes are not applicable to you. Next to VAT, we also have a real estate transfer tax. So if you own and transfer real estate in the Netherlands, you have to pay a certain percentage of the value of that real estate to the Dutch government. It depends a little bit on what kind of property it is and how you use the property. And the percentage will be somewhere between 1 and 9 or 10%. So please notice that if you transfer real estate or rights in real estate, you also have to pay real estate transfer tax. So please be aware of the VAT regime in the Netherlands. Again, it should be a wash. You should not actually have VAT as cost, but you would need to have a proper look at your supply chain and see where you have to invoice with VAT to your clients. Sander,
Next slide.
Next slide. Yeah.
Next slide. Next slide is about transfer pricing, mainly, and our expat rules. First of all, the transfer pricing rules, we have adopted the OECD transfer pricing rules, which basically means that any intercompany transaction should meet the at arm's length principle, and companies should have documentation available in its administration. Depending on the size of the consolidated revenue of the group, if it's bigger than 50 million, companies should have a master file and a local file in its administration. And if it's above 750 million, then there should also be a country-by-country file. If it's less than 50 million, also documentation should be made available or should be available in the administration, but you have more, it can be prepared based on your own expertise, and there's no specific format which needs to be available, or the documentation should oblige to. We have a very favorable expat practice, so to recruit people from abroad who have a specific expertise and earn a specific gross amount of salary, they can get a tax-free allowance of 30% of their income for 5 years, which is basically to attract and to bring people into the Dutch labor market who have specific expertise, which is not available on the Dutch market. Next slide, please. So the next few couple of slides are okay. What works in Dutch economy and in Dutch fiscal climate, and what do we normally see? Randall and I have prepared an overview, next slide please, in which we have highlighted a comparison table when you're entering the Dutch market. So if you have a small footprint and small initial presence, we would suggest look at a branch for your foreign company. It's low cost, it's quick, but there is a disadvantage. There is no liability protection. If you're entering the Dutch market and you want to start operational activities, we suggest a single BV. It's a limited liability company, and there's no asset separation. If there's more business and you want to set up a European holding company or a European hub, then a holding company and a BV is what we see in practice. You have your participation exemption, there's risk separation, but there's more administration to do. There are 2 entities in the Netherlands. When entering the Netherlands and you want to set up an IT company or you want to make use of the innovation box, separate your intangible in a separate IP box or an IP BV. R&D, software licensing, you can apply for your 9% innovation box. But, as I mentioned, it requires substance and nexus in the Netherlands. Setting up your group structure, group treasury function in the Netherlands, do it via a finance BV. It's efficient funding. We see a lot of cash pooling vehicles in the Netherlands. But still, one of the disadvantages that you should have proper transfer pricing and also documentation available in order to remunerate that specific function. When you want to set up a Netherlands top holding function for your multinational group, it's tax efficient. What I just explained, it's for dividends. It's very efficient. No tax leakage via the Netherlands, but you should and must maintain substance. Substance is a very important topic in the Netherlands. We will further elaborate during one of the slides. Next slide, please. So, when looking at case studies, Randall and I have prepared 2 case studies for you, just to give you a more of a feeling. What are we looking at? What are pitfalls and what are actionable checklists? What do I need to do? So, for instance, we have foreign company wants to expand in the Netherlands, wants to set up a sales company and a support team. Want to hire Dutch employees to serve their European customers and enter the European market. They are considering, do I want to set up a branch or do I want to set up a Dutch BV? Well, I'm setting up a branch of a foreign company. The customers, they have a contract with the parent. Perhaps you know a branch cannot be a contracting party under a customer's agreement. So, as you see, Dutch customers prefer contracting with a Dutch legal entity, Dutch BV, Dutch BV. If they see a foreign company, they front their eyebrows a little bit. It's not that it's not impossible, but they prefer doing business with a BV. There's less friction when setting up a BV with banks, with payroll, with VAT. BV, the liability is ring-fenced. You are eligible for tax incentives. And for a BV, it's easier to expand if you have expansion initiatives or you want to grow. So if you're on the right side, you see step by step. What are things that you need to consider? What are pitfalls? Well, hiring staff through a branch may create permanent establishment issues. Booking EU revenue may create VAT issues. No Dutch director and no intercompany agreement. So therefore, we also advise to set up a BV. What are then the steps? Incorporate the BV with a notary, set up a payroll for your Dutch employees, register for VAT with the tax authorities, prepare intercompany service agreement for any intercompany transactions, have transfer pricing documentations, have a bank account, and do a proper accounting setup. These are on a high level basis the things that you need to consider when setting up such a company. Next slide is more for Randall. It's using the EU Logistic Hub.
Yeah, to add on the case study presented by Sander, if you would have your logistics flow through the Netherlands, either by setting up a warehouse or importing in Rotterdam, it's preferable to do that with a Dutch entity. We always say, please have your entity, please have your structure in the country where your goods touch the ground. In our example, going through the Rotterdam hub or going through Schiphol, the Netherlands would be a good place to have an entity, because most probably your warehouse is there, your structure will be there, and your goods will touch the ground for the first time in the EU region. Because of having a Dutch entity with a proper setup, you can make use of the earlier mentioned Article 23 license, which means that you do not have to pay the VAT at importation, which is a big advantage. You cannot do that without having an entity in the Netherlands. You can also export your goods again, because without an entity in the Netherlands or in the EU region, you cannot export your goods again outside of the EU region. You need some VAT administration in the country where you have your goods. So in the Netherlands, in our example, that means that you would have to have a VAT number, which you will get if you open a Dutch entity. You will need to have a AORI number. And you can also obtain that when you have a Dutch entity with a VAT number, and of course the VAT import deferral license. We have a strong logistics infrastructure, so it's quite easy to discuss with third-party logistics companies to manage your supply chain. And it will be much easier if you have a structure like a BV in the Netherlands to manage that supply chain. And of course, the liability protection again. The Article 23 license, so not paying import VAT, will give you a huge working capital advantage, because you do not have to finance the VAT. Some of the pitfalls mentioned, you need to separate your IP from your real business, so your logistics business, to have the brand risk somewhere else than your real business. You have to look at transfer pricing between your headquarters and the Dutch entity, and of course you need to book your revenue that is obtained in the Netherlands in your Dutch entity. Checklist for having a structure, having a supply chain flowing through the Netherlands is have the VAT number, AORI number, Article 23 license. Discuss with your logistics partner if you need a bonded warehouse, and a bonded warehouse means that you do not have to pay customs. So it's also easy to do not have to finance customs payments, and you can do that with having a bonded warehouse. You have to look at your supply chain, of course, and you have to make sure that your clients use the Dutch entity, and you will have to use your Dutch entity as the main contract partner to make use of all those favorable tax items in the Netherlands.
Yes, thank you, Randall. On the next slide, we have addressed 4 questions that we have been frequently asked to us when foreign investors, foreign companies would like to set up a company or want to explore the Dutch market. And the first one is, should I use a Dutch branch to keep things simple? Yes, it's in principle, if you have a small footprint and you are in exploration phase, when you want to enter the Dutch market, a branch is recommended. However, if you are involving staff, what Randall mentioned, logistics, warehouse, contracts, or risk, then a BV is already in place, should already in place, or is advisable, right? So, and therefore, it's very important when entering the Dutch markets, you have a business plan. What are your goals? What are your intentions in order to start on the Dutch market. Question number 2 is, do I need a holding BV? In principle, not. However, if you have multiple investors, you have IP, you have major assets, you have multiple subsidiaries, you are already considering that you have a possible exit or a sale, and you want to create long-lasting value creation. Yes, a holding BV is practically mandatory. It's between brackets, mandatory, and nothing is mandatory, but it's highly recommendable. Should I put IP in a separate entity? Yes, that's something that we strongly advise, because you want to shelter your crown jewels. Final question is, can a foreign director run Dutch entity? Yes, in principle, yes, it can, but the major decision making over the BV should be done in the Netherlands. And also in holding, finance, IP structures, it's highly recommended to have at least a Dutch director on the board. You want to avoid discussions with other jurisdictions taking the position that the BV is a tax resident of their jurisdiction, because the major decisions are being made in that jurisdiction. For substance, there is not a clear yes or no, or checklist, or something that is written in concrete. Every fact and circumstance is important and needs to be checked case by case. Although on the next slide, next slide please, substance. One of the questions that we also frequently get is substance required to incorporate or operate a Dutch BV. In principle, there is no legal requirement, but when you operate in the Netherlands, the substance almost becomes very important. We have highlighted or addressed topics that we have seen in our practice, for Rendel's practice and my practice. If you want to have tax treaty benefits, you want a Dutch VAT number for trading, for import, to avoid withholding tax challenges with other jurisdictions or the Dutch tax authorities. You want to avoid letterbox accusations, PO box. You should have Dutch presence in the Netherlands. Also, what I just mentioned, to avoid place of effective management discussions, substance is really important. On the next slide, there are some elements mentioning how the substance should look like. We have minimum substance, medium substance, and high substance, depending on your case by case and depending on the facts and circumstances. But these are the things that you should consider. I'm not going to discuss them for every requirement, but this is some guidance in order to have local substance in the Netherlands available. And if you want more information about it, please feel free to reach out, and then we can discuss your case. Next slide is about how Crow can assist you with setting up your Dutch entity in the Netherlands. The Crow Fooder is a one-stop shop, so every tax and accounting compliance requirements which need to be obliged in the Netherlands can be provided by our firm. Next slide, please. As you know, Crow Fooder, Dimitri also mentioned in his introduction, is part of the Crow network. We have 800 employees in the Netherlands. Previous slide, please. We have 10 offices. Next slide, please. This is about Crow Global. We have 10 offices, we have 800 people, and we have the 15th largest accounting firm in the Netherlands. So we have presence in all the jurisdictions which are important in the Netherlands. So please feel free to reach out if you need our assistance with that. To summarize, on the next slide, why is the Netherlands such a great place to invest? We have a stable economy. We almost already host 2,000 multinational holding companies. So we have a track record. We are highly educated. We have easy access to your European market and supply chains. We have a very attractive tax incentives regime in the Netherlands, and we are young, vibrant, and highly skilled employees. Thank you very much for your attention, also on behalf of Randall. And if you have any questions, then happy to answer them.
Thank you, Sander and Randall, for your presentation, which was very interesting and useful. And hope you'll have a couple of minutes more to answer some questions, both from the participants' side. Maybe you already see them in the comments, and also some simple but practical questions from my side. So let's start from the first of all, the questions which you may see in chat. I hope that those who asked them already received the answers listening to your presentation, but let's repeat them. So the question number one was regarding the difference from your point of view between the representative office of the company and the company. You already mentioned and noticed in your presentation the issue which may arise in respect of the branch, that there's a PE, permanent establishment risk, which may arise depending from the rule and what this representative office will do. Maybe you will give some more comment about that.
Yeah, if the branch is performing any auxiliary or preparatory activities on behalf of the parent company, then in principle, permanent establishment should not be there in the Netherlands, or the risk should be very low. But if you give that person a lot of power and mandatory and power to sign contracts on behalf of the company, and there is really a business in the Netherlands already, then the risk increases. So you should closely monitor the activities of the person doing the activities in the Netherlands.
Yes. It seems, as you already mentioned in your presentation, that if the company presumes that the economical and business activity will start soon, there is no need to set up a branch because BV is more convenient for making a business. So if the client see that the functions of this office will not be only of a representative nature, but of productive nature, there is no need to set up a branch from the beginning. Just better to save money and time. The second question, it looks to be more wide, but Vladimir Ratushniak is asking for advice. Which would be your advice for a company which likes to enter European Union market through Netherlands engineering company? So seems that you have already made some slides and some advices were brought there, but maybe you'll give some short comments in addition to that.
Yeah, engineering company, it basically is what I also discussed during the presentation. If there is in the Netherlands, there's going to be R&D activities for the engineering company. Then there's the favorable innovation box. But if not applicable, then still there is still a very favorable corporate income tax rate. And if you are performing engineering activities for your clients in the Netherlands or in Europe, then it's feasible to set up a BV.
Yes.
To add on that, if you look at the EU region, the EU region has implemented a lot of anti-fraud measures in the construction area. For example, for VAT purposes, VAT is deferred to your clients. So that means that you do not have to mention VAT on your invoice if you're in this regime, but your clients should self-assess the VAT in his VAT return, all to avoid fraud. But also for income taxes, certain amounts have to be placed in a separate bank account to be able to do construction services in the EU region. So construction engineering is a typical part of business that's highly regulated because of the anti-fraud rules.
Okay, and from my point of view, looking from aside to your presentation, which have been made regarding that, if the company has or will have some payments for intellectual property, the Netherlands, as you noted, doesn't have withholding tax on royalties.
Correct.
So yes, and in major European jurisdictions, it is. So some of our clients, because of that, have established Dutch companies for collecting some royalties and paying them out. And another thing, if this company would like to product itself some intellectual property, that will be another reason to set up company in Netherlands to get during some time the necessary substance in order to enjoy this R&D regime. Maybe that could be another second attraction. So a couple of very simple questions from my side. Randall, you noted that it is possible to apply for so-called Article 23 license, which allows not to pay the import VAT on goods. Am I right?
Yeah.
So the question is it possible from the beginning or after some period of time? What if there are any additional conditions to met in order to apply for and to be allowed not to pay it?
Firstly, you need to have substance in the Netherlands, so either a BV or a well-structured branch, which the latter one is quite difficult to do. So I would suggest having an entity, a BV in the Netherlands with a lot of substance to be able to obtain. Second step will be to demonstrate to the tax authorities that you will import on a frequent basis. So if you're just a startup and trying to enter the EU region without importing yet, then you cannot have this Article 23 license. But if you can demonstrate to the tax authorities that you will import on a regular basis by showing your business documents or your business plans, then you are able to obtain the Article 23 license. And the tax authorities will try to manage that you fulfill the criteria. So they will ask questions, they will send reports if you really import on a frequent basis or not. So that they will try to monitor.
Okay, just to compare it with Estonia, because we have almost the same possibility, but it could be applied only after 12-month existence or making business period, to demonstrate that you are a good taxpayer, having no debts. And another thing, you need to have more than 50% of the realization with zero VAT rate. If both conditions met, in this case, you may get this, let's name it, license. Another question regarding the substance, which is of high importance, as we see also from our clients. You noted that minimum requirement for major cases is to have the local director. For sure, it is perfect to get somebody employed who is a professional, working on the same field of the business you are trying or you're planning to start to do from the Netherlands. But usually they are professional trustees or lawyers or something similar. Yes. So I do expect that from tax authorities' point of view, it's not a problem. But how do banks look at that? Do they accept them as local managers who are managing local business? And does it fit with their substance requirements for account opening purposes, or that makes a problem in practice? And the second sub question: any case studies about bank account opening your past time?
Yeah, the first question is a very good question. How banks look at, I'm not a banker, I'm a tax lawyer, and but in what we have heard from the banks is that they are a little bit reluctant to open a bank account for companies that also have a, let's say, trust director, what you were referring to, Leonid. So yeah, they are reluctant to open it, although there are trust companies that have their own bank.
Okay, do you have connections with such and may recommend?
Yes. Yeah,
because
we can.
yes, and as far as I know, we are not taking some business from you because you are not allowed, as far as I know, to.
No.
So it's not your business, so you may recommend anybody. So I
Yes,
think
we
the
can,
audience, yes, the audience have heard about that and noted that it could be advised to some
Happy
company
to, yeah.
which has
Sure.
its own bank. That's a very nice news.
Yeah, because the
Yes.
ones that are mentioned on this slide, these are the major big banks, so ING, Rabobank, and ABN AMRO. They a couple of years ago they have written letters to companies who are registered on the business address of a trust company, and they have ignored, or they have deleted the agreement.
Okay.
So they're a little bit reluctant to open the bank account.
Okay.
Case studies is with all these banks, they have an inbound desk. So, and this inbound desk is somebody who can assist foreign clients setting up a bank account. They can have a 5 to 10 minutes call, explain what their business activities are going to be, what are intentions to do, what they're going to invest in the Netherlands. And then you have, after 5 to 10 minutes, you already have a clear yes or no.
Okay, that's nice.
That's
very good. Yes, it's very efficient. Yeah.
The other topic regarding the bank account is that we also advise clients, if they have a local bank already in their jurisdiction and it has a branch in the Netherlands, it's more easier to do to open the bank account via that branch.
Okay. Another practical question: how much this local director at the initial stage seems to be a professional trustee should be paid monthly?
Monthly?
Usually, yes. His monthly, he should receive, I think, some salary.
Yeah.
So what is the
I think it's 100,000. Yeah, it's almost, I think it's to have real economic substance, and these are to a specific back-to-back companies. I think it should at least be 100,000 euros.
Okay.
On an annual base, not on a monthly base, but on an annual base. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me, about tax rulings. Yes, I think everybody have heard some years ago about famous Dutch sandwich and some structures which were used for international trading and so on. Any comments? Does it exist or it somehow has been changed? And how the Dutch companies could be used in international trading?
Especially the ruling practice is only applicable to companies that have a nexus in the Netherlands. So when you file the request, then at least there should be some kind of operations in the Netherlands. But then still, any tax regulation, is it the participation exemption? Is it the dividend withholding tax? Is it interest deductibility? Is it the treaty application? It can all be ruled or agreed with the Dutch tax authorities, not in contradiction with the law. Everything should be in line with the law. So that's still possible. Also regarding APA, so advanced pricing agreements, transfer pricing, these rulings can also still be can be agreed with the Dutch tax authorities. Yeah. So the certainty in advance in our ruling practice is still alive, so to say.
Okay, so this possibility could be used in combination with this Article 23 license in order to organize the import operations through Netherlands.
Yeah.
As I see it,
Dutch tax authorities are very open to welcome foreign investors when they set up their operations and to make their life as easy as possible.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to ask audience to ask any question, some more questions, if any. Yes, but I don't see them. I would like also to remind that you may send later on later stages the questions to the to Crow Mikhailenko office or to us. We will share it with our colleagues. Anyway, the contacts could be found through our office, and for the any items and issues to be asked directly from our colleagues. We thank you them for the time spent. It was approximately 1 hour, not more as we expected, and wish all the best for all of you, and thanks again for joining us and sharing their interesting information. Thank you, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.